to begin our general overview introduction of the program, I want to introduce our fellow team member and colleague, Judy Syker.
Good morning again. It is wonderful to see all of you here this morning and to know that you're here not because it's required for some curriculum, but because you really care. And it's marvelous to be in a room full of people who care about something that we have invested so much time and energy into and felt fortunate for the experience. New Paths, as many of you know and are beginning to hear, is a course designed to offer Christians new tools for learning about and discussing Israel. 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 A land, a people, a nation, a political site. How does one even define Israel, much less talk about it? But just as Israel cannot be defined in any one single way, neither can a Christian approach fit into any one particular pattern. And so what we are trying to offer you are resources for you to use as you engage, as you seek to create your own new path to engaging Israel. While we're not offering you any single path to Israel, our work does reflect some basic underlying assumptions or some core concepts. So it's important to recognize, I think, that when we talk about engaging Israel, the most familiar paths are those that Peter has already spoken about. Those are the paths through crisis, through the Holocaust trauma, through Israel as a vulnerable state, through the Palestinian suffering, through the role of Israel in many of Christian end-time scenarios. Those paths lead in a variety of directions, not all fruitful, I'm afraid to say. So while we're not denying the impact and significance of any of these paths through crisis or the significance or impact of any of these crises, New Paths course offers a different and, we think, more fruitful perspective. It is the perspective of shared values. So we move from what we've known in the past as paths through crisis to paths through shared values. And one of our hopes is that as you engage in this course, you will begin to shift. It doesn't mean there is one path through shared values, but we hope that you will begin to shift and begin to look at this in a very different way. Now, we all know that if we are going to engage another, especially when we know from the beginning that there are varying opinions and views, we know that forging new paths is not easy. And so as we began our work, we established some guidelines for engagement that would be our guidelines as we created this course. You'll find them in your booklet that you've received on page 8. And we would suggest that this be an initial part of your work, that you would follow these guidelines and perhaps, given your own location, create some of your own. In order to create an atmosphere in which diverse views can be expressed respectfully, these are some of the things that we have agreed to do. I think that if you read them, they make perfectly good sense, and that they provide a very good and strong foundation for some very honest grappling as we engage Israel. What you're going to find in New Paths is a series of units, and in this portion of the morning, we're going to give you just a glimpse into these units. In a little while, you'll have an opportunity to engage fully, to thoroughly be introduced to Unit 1, but for the next few minutes, let us introduce you to an overview of this project. The project is designed with a series of units, each of which is an image of Israel. And the title and the topic of each is based on an aspect of self-understanding of Israel. We all know that in order to fully engage someone else honestly and respectfully and successfully, We have to know something about how that other person understands him or herself. And so we are going to try to do that as we go through these units. By exploring the images holiness, covenant, rejection, conflict, hope, and encounter, we encourage you to take a more critical and discerning look at Israel, how Israel understands itself, and importantly, in this process, take a very critical and discerning look at ourselves as Christians. It's very much a twofold event. The first unit is the one on holiness. It's the one that sets the stage for the rest of our work. We begin by recognizing that the word Israel conjures up many images for us as Christians. It is, after all, the Holy Land. It's the place where Jesus was born, lived, taught, died, was raised from the dead. The image that reflects our common awareness of this deep-seated sense of holiness in this place has to do with our imagining walking in the footsteps of Jesus. I think that for many Christians is an immediate sense of what Israel is. But increasingly, we are aware that not only is this a place that is important to, familiar to, and ringing strongly in the memories of Christians, this is a place where holiness intersects. The holiness not only of Christians, but of Jews and Muslims. Increasingly, we are aware, even Christians who are not interested as you and I are in these issues, I think we are increasingly aware that it has, and especially Jerusalem, we'll think about Jerusalem for a moment, has significance, has real religious significance for a variety of people. And the intersections are amazing. If you've seen the introductory video, you know that visually the intersections are amazing. You can walk by folks from various traditions for whom they are in a holy space and not even be aware that that is what you're doing. And so a walk through the city quickly reveals this. And the complexities, we think, of this intersection have to be explored. And so in this first unit of study, we do just that. Through videos and texts, we come to understand the competing claims on Jerusalem and the holy places and the ways in which these claims and understandings of holiness bring these three traditions together. And so in this foundational unit, we learn that Christian ideas of holiness tend to be tied to ancient sites, to the past. And in that way, our ideas of holiness are interwoven with Muslims and Jews. But Israel, we all know, is more than a collection of ancient sites, and it's imperative that we look at the people in the land in the present. And when we do this, we're faced at once with the complexity of a modern Israel, a land comprised of different peoples and their divergent needs. And so in Unit 1, not only do we go back and think about the significance of the memories of the ancient sites, in Unit 1, we hear the voice of an Israeli Jewish poet, and we read an essay by a Palestinian Christian, and these move us from the ancient remains of the past generations to the people of modern Israel. And we become increasingly aware of the complex identity of Israel today. So while the work in Unit 1 begins with deepening our understanding of Israel as a land of ancient memories, for many traditions, even in Unit 1, and especially in Unit 1, we do not remain there. We have to take a sweeping trip across the ages, acknowledging the many power shifts that have left memories and people marked. And we come then to the complex realities of Israel as a modern state. Israel as a thriving community in a global economy. You're going to be able to explore this fully, to see the breadth of this foundational unit when Alan gives you that in just a little bit. But for right now, I want to invite Gabriel up to introduce Units 2 and 3.